Now that we have had our training on recurring themes and concepts, I want to show you some resources in our instructional materials that will help you deliver the lessons about each of the different recurring theme and concepts. As a reminder, on our curriculum page, you can find those materials in the science column. They will be under RTC materials. Okay, so let's look at Unit 4, Kindergarten, as an example, and we'll go down to Lesson 1. And in Lesson 1, we have the recurring theme and concept, describe the properties of objects in terms of relative size and relative quantity. The TEKS for that unit is describe and classify rocks by the observable properties of size, shape, color, and texture. So we have an overlap here where the recurring theme and concept describing properties of objects in terms of size is a good fit for describing and classifying rocks by the observable physical property of size. So the first thing that we do is check in on our TEKS guide for any additional information about our standard. So here we have the standard again, describe and classify rocks. Quick teacher-facing definition of a rock by the observable properties of size, shape, color, and texture. And we get a teacher-facing definition of property. Remember when we were trained on the RTCs, Think Big provided some more approachable words for our students. So you will have scale, proportion, and quantity. That's what this one is called in all the grades. Think Big has provided a resource that just says size and quantity. That makes that a little more approachable for our students. So that's the RTC we're looking at. The lesson that we are learning about is properties of rocks. And so in our instructional materials, we can go to Chapter 4, Lesson 1, and we go to the Engage blade. And in the Engage blade, you'll find the recurring themes graphic organizer, scale, proportion, and quantity. And of course, we are calling that size and quantity with our students in K2. And then you also have the teacher support document for that graphic organizer. So let's look at those. This is the graphic organizer, the student-facing one. And so you would fill in the phenomenon or what it is that you're talking about. There's a place for students to write or draw to describe what you're talking about. And then there's a space for them to construct a statement. You also have the teacher-facing version to kind of see what are they thinking that we are supposed to fill in here, give you some ideas about how to use the organizer and where students go in the next big grade band. So we'll look at some of this in just a little bit. But these are always paired with one of the videos in Explain. And so I'll go back really quickly. We would go to the Explain blade, and there's a video there called Sorting Rocks. So let's watch the video and see how it connects with the RTC activity.
Sorting rocks. Are you a rockhound? Not this kind of rockhound. This kind. Rockhounds are people that love to collect rocks. What does a rockhound bring back from a hike or a day at the beach? Rocks. But what a rockhound really likes to do is classify or group their rocks into a collection. What is a good way to start? Let's find out as we go and collect some rocks. A rock is a hard, non-living part of Earth. Each rock has properties. Some properties of rocks include size, color, texture, and shape. We can use these properties to group rocks. How about we classify these rocks by size? Let's put one of these small rocks in the small rock column. Next, the big rock can go in the second column. Good job! What would be the best way to classify these rocks? They can be grouped by color. There is a purple rock. We can sort together all the purple rocks. Another one is white. All of the green rocks can go together too. Check out this rock. Its color is unique. This is tricky. What other way can we group these rocks? Do you know? Yes, texture. How a rock feels to touch is a good way to group them. We can also use a hand lens to get a closer look. This rock is smooth. This rock is very rough and grainy. Rocks can also be sorted by shape. Rocks can be many shapes, including round or square. Some rocks are shaped like triangles. Let's give it a try. This rock has curves all around and no square edges. Let's sort this with round rocks. This rock looks like a cube. Let's sort this with square rocks. And this rock is shaped like a triangle. After classifying rocks, you can make labels for them. The label says what kind of rock it is. It also tells the color, texture, and size of the rock. You can collect your own rocks and place them in a special box like this one. Then you will be a rock hound too. Rocks rock!
Okay, so after students watch that video, then if we go back to the RTC that's set here, and I'll use the teacher key as we talk, then we can see how that video is a good prompt to kind of tease up maybe this particular activity. So we're looking at the phenomenon of the properties of rocks. You could use the word properties, or you could use a different word there. And then you can have students describe the system that they might use to classify rocks. You could have them draw a classification system based on size or color. And then when you get to the bottom, it gives an opportunity to decide what are the best terms to use to construct a statement to describe the system or the object using a relative scale. So is it appropriate to talk about rocks in terms of bigger or smaller, hotter or colder, faster or slower? And then you could even put in here like rough or smooth if you wanted to come up with one more as a class. And so students would probably choose bigger or smaller, and then you could have a sentence that you would come up with together as a class. And so this activity helps students see that when we think about rocks and the properties of rocks, we can think about them in terms of their size and quantity and really draw that aspect of their work out and make it a really intentional moment where students can see that we have this theme here that goes along with the specific thing we're talking about with rocks. And you can even have more conversations about what are other things that we can classify in terms of size and quantity, and just help students see that we can take not just rocks here, but we can talk about other things.